Most Pokemon card investors are leaving money on the table. In today's video, I'm going to talk you through 5 reasons why I think the general Pokemon card investor is leaving money on the table. They're leaving profits out there. There is more money to be made. Hey, if you're new here, my name's Michael, Pokeoz. We talk all things Pokemon card investing. And if you've been tuning in for a while, in fact, there's some of you that tune into literally every video. So I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your support and tuning in. It is very much appreciated. Today's video sponsor is of course the Collector app, which I'll talk about a little bit down the track. But let's jump into it. Here's the first reason why I think Pokemon card investors are leaving money on the table, and that is that they go all in on either one product or one set. And look, that can prove to be super beneficial. Like if you went all in on Evolving Skies, you would absolutely be laughing to the bank. So there are going to be cases where going all in on something proves so fruitful, it's beyond belief. However, for the general rule of thumb, diversifying across a range of sealed sets is the best way to do it. Or even if you're someone that goes all in on one particular card, you don't know, like what if that card loses money? If you're buying 10 graded copies of a PSA 10, Mewtwo from Destined Rivals, how do you know that's going to be fantastic long term when you could diversify into multiple slabs, or you could diversify into multiple sealed products? And when it comes to sealed products, and even when it comes to singles, we don't know, and that's the point. Rather than going all in, you could be losing money or leaving money on the table, so to speak, by not diversifying across multiple sets. And as much as us Pokemon investors like to almost spruik the fact that we know what we're talking about, for the most part, there's some data and there's some science behind it. And I'm always one that says that, from a sealed investing point of view, Booster Box is king, Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box is proving itself behind that. And then Elite Trainer Box / other good sealed products like UPCs sit beside it, followed by things like 3-pack blisters, all the way through to, say, bad collection boxes as the worst sealed investments. We know we can almost tier products based on their investment returns. And moreover than that, obviously I talk about how good the set is based on, how good the chase cards are. Generally speaking, those will give you the best returns. What is the sentiment towards those sets? But there's also sets that can come out of the woodwork and perform extremely well without people knowing. Like, talk about Team Up for argument's sake. When that first came out, it didn't have super expensive chase cards. People were still going back and chasing things like Burning Shadows Charizard. People were waiting for the next set or hearing that other sets were coming in the future, and it wasn't the most sought after set with sought after chase cards at the time. And then all of a sudden, very short print run, no reprint, and cards started to moving into 2020, 2021, and now of course 25, 26, cards really started to take off and the sealed products really started to take off. But if you looked at it and you went, this new tag team metric's quite weak, I'm not a big fan of the artwork, I don't think I'll invest in that set. Well, look where you'd be now. If you'd gone, well, let's go all in on Burning Shadows because it's got the Rainbow Charizard and everyone's chasing it. You get my point. You don't really know sometimes, A, what a set's print run will be, and then B, people's love for a set, the chase card, and therefore the chase card pricing can really change. And if that changes, the booster box price will change. So you just don't know sometimes. So for me, going all in on one card or one product can sometimes leave money on the table, and it is best to diversify. The second one, or the second reason where I think people are leaving money on the table is not... Excuse me, that went down the wrong tube. There you go. Every video, once again, that is proved is live. Get that one on the blooper reel at the end of the year. The second reason is not working deals online and not looking for specials. So just buying because maybe, the money's come into the account for the weekly pay and every week, I've got to buy myself a Pokemon product, rather than maybe waiting 2 weeks or 3 weeks for waiting for a deal to pop up. Like just recently here in Australia, eBay Australia had a deal on the table, which was 10% off all collectibles. And it was an awesome deal. Like, and I know pricing's different in the US, of course, but things like Twilight Masquerade booster boxes, which are roughly 550 Australian dollars, if you found one of those online, you could pick it up for $500. It was just 10% off every collectible, and it was like a 2-day sale on eBay Australia. If Padawan Evolve booster box was $650 Australian, which is roughly what they are, of course, you'd be able to pick one up for, $585. What an awesome deal. That does not come up very often. So if you'd saved up and waited for a deal, bang, you could have saved yourself a fair bit of money there. Like that's 10% of gains. You're literally buying something 10% under market price. So, and look, there's other times in the past, and I know we're in a massive bull market and there's not many sales on per se, but sometimes it's good to work deals online and look for sales. I remember about 2 years ago, Gameology had a sale on. And this feels like a lifetime ago, but it was Paradox Rift. So basically all the early Scarlet and Violet sets, Padawan Evolve, Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flames, Scarlet and Violet Base, and the latest set out at the time was Temporal Forces. All of them had like this Christmas in July sale. And they were super cheap. Christmas in July, they were like 165 Australian dollars a booster box, which works out to be sort of 110 US dollars a booster box. It was an amazing sale. And now, buying anything off Gameology in Australia, prices are absolutely through the roof. But there are examples in the past when sales have come up. So that's one reason you could be leaving money on the table, is because you're not working deals properly online. And talking about working deals, you can also work deals in person or in a more face-to-face online method through either card shows or Facebook Marketplace. You're well within your rights to try and work a deal. Like, it's not about trying to rip someone off. It's about negotiating and finding a happy medium. A deal will take place when the buyer and seller are both happy. You might be at a card show, and this is, of course, point number 3. You might go to a card show, which is awesome. Card shows are great fun to go to. And, you might want to pick up, and whether this is for a collection or sealed product or singles or slabs for investing, but you might grab a couple slabs and maybe their total value equals $1,650, $1,650 across 3 slabs. You might say to them, hey mate, I'll grab all 3 off your hand if we can do $1,500 cash, or, we'll do a deal at $1,500, which is essentially getting 10% off. And, they might come back at $1,550 and maybe you go, no, I'll walk away if that's the price, let's do $1,500, and maybe you shake hands in the end. That's one way that you can work deals. The other way, of course, is on places like Facebook Marketplace. You might, or any of the Facebook groups. Quite often I see Facebook groups, and I just did a deal recently across multiple Elite Trainer boxes. I think it was pretty much every every Mega Evolution Elite Trainer box. So we had the 2 Mega Evolution base artworks, we had the Phantasmal Flames, we had Ascended Heroes, and we even had a Perfect Order in there as well, of course. So across all of those, we worked out a deal. Like, they were listed, I want this for this, this for this, this for this. Or if you'd like to buy them all at once, I'm open to some sort of offers. So we spoke, we negotiated, and we worked out a deal where both the buyer and seller were happy. And what that means is you're starting your journey at a lower entry level price. Look, if you're planning on holding a long time, like whether you bought a Padawan Evolve booster box when it came out for 110 US dollars or 125 US dollars or 145 US dollars, if you're holding long term, it's not going to matter all that much, really, in the grand scheme of things. If you're holding 10 years and that booster box is worth 2,000 US dollars in 10 years time, well, really, whether you bought for 130 or 140, it's not going to make a difference. But every little bit does count, particularly in this economy. And we're not talking about making millions here. We're talking about just leaving little bits of money on the table where you can make your process of investing in Pokemon cards more efficient. Before we jump into number 4, like I said, I did want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collector app. There'll be a link in the description to download it. You can follow my journey down in the content creators section. This is the one-stop shop app for all your sealed and singles. You can add everything in there, English, Japanese. I use it all the time. Every time I buy a sealed product, I pop it in there. It shows me my total portfolio value. It shows me how it's tracking across time. You can go to any set. You can look at set analytics, which as an investor are so important. I love to see how set analytics are performing because it shows me what the top chase cards are, how they're performing, and what that means for the sealed product in the future in my eyes. So again, Collector app, link in the description to download it. Number 4, this is a big one. This is a really important one, and this happened this is probably the best example I can give of it, and that is panicking and not buying at reprints. Humans have this funny nature, don't we? This real herd mentality, and it's like, I remember when both Japanese 151 and English 151 were on shelves everywhere, particularly Japanese 151. That copped 2 very large reprints, and it did tank the price of that product. And rather than people buying it, a lot of people got scared of it. They walked away from it. And even when 151 was on the shelf, and even once 151 came off the shelf and the price started to rise a smidgen, after a restock, people would go, well, it's going to get reprinted into the ground. It's going to get printed to oblivion. It's going to come again, so I don't want to buy it. It's like, when something's there, people don't want to buy it. And the moment it's taken away, that's when people want it. And it's like, people are like, oh, 151's going crazy. Like, I'm happy to pay $400 for an Elite Trainer box on its way up, but I wasn't happy to pay $80 when I could see them on the shelves everywhere. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. That is the best time. And, it's that old saying, is to be fearful when other people are greedy and be greedy when other people are fearful. If something becomes super, super cheap, it's a fantastic time to buy it. It's the perfect time to buy it. I remember, listening to a few Rudy videos, and he talks about his Lost Origin Elite Trainer box collection. I shouldn't say collection, maybe investment is the better word, but I can remember when he was having, he was mentioning that he had distributors screaming out to him saying, like, Rudy, take our cases of our pallets even of Lost Origin Elite Trainer boxes. And he's like, well, I don't know, And eventually, if you could do them for this price, if we do them for this price, will you take them off our hand? If we do it for this price, will you take them off our hand? And it seemed to get lower and lower and lower, to the point where the entry buying point price for Lost Origin Elite Trainer boxes was just so cheap for him. It just made no sense not to buy them. So it's funny. It's like 151 Japanese, when it was just getting absolutely tanked because, and what did they get down to in the end? Yeah, I think you could buy them for like, it was almost all the Reddit and Facebook groups were, what price did you buy your 151 booster box for, Japanese? Oh, I got mine for $49. Oh, $49. I got mine for $47.50. It was like this race to the bottom of who was getting them the cheapest. But people were buying them to open them. It's like people were scared of them at that stage as an investment, when that realistically was the best time to buy them. And even if you'd had a position at a slightly higher price than that, it was a great time to dollar cost average and buy something cheaper. So I certainly wouldn't panic when reprints happen. And even if it does tank the market, there's a fair bit of talk about this one at the moment. There's a little bit of controversy surrounding prismatic evolutions. Everyone's going, oh, you investor bros are all wrong, like you're all spruiking prismatic evolutions. And it's like, the set's still in rotation. If it gets reprinted and we're saying buy it, that's the perfect time to buy it. Like, you're leaving money on the table by not buying it. And it's like, oh, well, it hasn't done anything in 3 months. It's like, everyone's perception of how quickly an investment should change or should move in price is just off the scale at the moment. And I feel like it's a lot of new people coming in during this bull market where they're thinking, if it doesn't move in 3 months like that, you've made a bad call on it. It's like, well, no, you haven't. I plan on holding prismatic evolutions for a long time, and it'll perform incredibly well. It's too good of a set. It is so strong. The Umbreon EX is a beautiful card. All the evolutions inside there are phenomenal cards. There's Shinji Kanda artwork. There's God packs to be had. There's Master Ball reverse holos. There is nothing to not like about this set. It is a 9.5 out of 10. The cheaper you can buy it, the better. And who cares if it hasn't done anything for 3 months, because it'll be super, super strong long term. It's the best time to buy it. Like, you're leaving money on the table. I bet you as soon as it starts moving, as soon as it's out of rotation, and they're going for $250 an Elite Trainer box, and it's gone from $220 to $250 in a month, people are going, yeah, buy it, it's on the way up. And it's like, well, no, you've left money on the table by not buying it now. The final point I wanted to make is selling too early. And look, this can sound a little bit counterintuitive, because sometimes it's great to lock in your profits, and it depends on your method. Some people do that. They'll go, right, I'll buy something, I'll buy 2 of them, a booster box every set. Once it doubles in value, I'll sell off 1 of them, so I keep 1 as part of my collection, and then I've essentially got that booster box for free. That's some people's strategy, is just roll through like that. Whereas other people, sometimes you can sell too early. I remember when Evolving Skies was on the way up and people were locking in like $600 booster box prices and they were going, yep, absolutely killed it. Like I bought that for 120, I've just 5x my money, locked in the profit, absolutely killed it. And then you're probably looking back and you're going, damn, like I wish I never sold that. Like I wish I still had my Evolving Skies booster boxes. That's the mentality a lot of people would have in a set like that. You cannot escape time in the Pokemon investing space. That does just wonders for your whole collection. The longer you leave it, the better they'll perform. So that's the fifth point I wanted to make, is about selling too early. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, do you have any things, or are there any other positions that you think where people are leaving money on the table in the investing space? This is a community. It's a place where, everyone can discuss and share ideas. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Thank you again so much for tuning in. My name's Michael, Pokeoz, and I'll catch everyone next time.